Okay, got a new project starting today. I decided I wanted to get a boy's axe, and I wanted to get a Council Tools boy's axe, but as I started looking for them, the price jumped from about $22 to about $38, and I just don't have that to blow. So I decided I'd look around elsewhere. And believe it or not, I found this little Mexican-made Truper boy's axe for $14.99 at Tractor Supply. And I'm wondering if I can fix this up, because it's got the weight. I haven't even popped the little edge guard off yet. Oh, that's thick. Oh man, it's so thick. But I'm wondering if I can turn this $15 axe into a $100 axe. So, strip, I understand this finish is not the actual casting, it's paint. I'll strip that off, grind and polish the head, strip and reshape the handle, and see if I can't come up with something along these lines. This is an old Collins, so it'll never be as, this is a old US made Collins, so it'll never meet that. Blade is about 3/8 of an inch longer, just a hair wider, but we're going to see what we can do with this. I mean, $15, I don't care if it's crap. Most of the time you couldn't get the handle for $15. It's got a pretty rough handle on it. It's very flat, very flat. It's got a couple of small knots. This one here in the edge, no big deal really. This one, no big deal. It doesn't go all the way through. It doesn't come out in the heel. Grain is very good. Yeah, grain is fine. Yeah. So we're going to see what we can do with it. Okay, I've got the head stripped and sanded down to a 220 finish. As you can see, I ran into a bit of a mold mark, a stamp mark that I couldn't get out, and the bottom of it cleaned up about as well as I expected. Now it's time to go to work with the files. What I'll do is I'll clean up all the edges. I'm going to put a bit of a swedge from the front of the eye to the bit. There already was a bit of one on this axe, top and bottom. And then I'll go ahead and reshape the bit. I'll get it file sharp, and then I'll continue on with the polishing of the bit from here on out. All this sanding was done after using a chemical stripper. Was done with a random orbit sander. I started out at 80 grit and took it all the way to 220. From here on out, it's hand sanding. So I'll do my filing first, and I'll let you know how it turns out. Alright, got all my filing done. Gotta move my cheeks way back, as you can tell. I think you can see that. I don't know if the light's on it or... I move my cheeks way back, smoothed all the edges, and it's looking pretty good. Now comes the fun part. I have my sanding block. I have my paper, 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000. Insane, huh? And my squirt bottle of water. So now it is just time for a whole bunch of elbow grease. I think it's going to be worth it. I think it's going to turn out pretty good. I've been thinking about the handle. I want to do some reshaping on the handle. There's like a bump right there I want to take out. I want to take out a little more of the back here. And I definitely want to round the whole thing a whole lot more than it is. But that comes after the polishing and before the final sanding. So I will keep you updated on my $15 axe to $100 axe. Let's see how it goes. Alright, I've got the head polishing finished, and you should be able to tell it's quite a difference. It took me a little while, a couple hours, and it cleaned up really nice. I'm really pretty happy with it. And on filing the bit, it seemed plenty hard to me. I've filed an awful lot of axes, and it seemed just as hard as a good old Collins or an old plum. Next up is to work on this handle a bit. Basically, it's very, very flat, so I want to round it off, and that's basically, I'm going to take off the high points of all the corners, round it a little more. And also, on the fawn's foot, I'm going to take out a little bit of wood right here, and a little bit of wood right here, and just give it a little more shape to the bottom end, a little more of a handle. And that'll be my next step on bringing this $15 axe into the showcase axe arena. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think I'll probably get an axe that'll do me for the rest of my life. I might have to replace the handle at some point, but you see I have out the spoke shave and the rasp, or the 4-in-hand rasp, which is basically all you need to work on. Work on a handle that's already made. If you're making one, you need a draw knife. That'll get you done. If you're hanging one or reshaping one, that's all you need. And I will get to reshaping and sanding, and the next shot you see, this little axe ought to look a whole lot different. Alright, as I promised, it's looking quite a bit different now. I shaped the handle. I took off quite a bit here and here, rounded everything over very, very well. It feels much better now. Then I sanded everything down all the way down to 220. And here's a bit of a disclaimer. Here's where I go a little different on my handles. First of all, I fire burnish them, as you can tell, and then I put a little light decoration on there, mainly just to know it's mine, mark them as mine. And then the proper finish would be linseed oil, boiled linseed oil. But personally, I don't use linseed oil. I use Danish oil. It's just a finish I started using because I also make, well, this is very dusty, but I also make Greenland style kayak paddles. And I started using, wow, that's dusty. I started using the Danish oil on these, and it works wonderfully. I put 3 coats on it today, 30 minutes between each coat. And after 30 minutes after the last coat, I wipe it down good. I'll let that cure over tonight, and then I'll probably do another 2 or 3 coats tomorrow. And that'll be it for the oil. The Danish oil actually has a varnish in it that cures inside the wood. So you don't have to oil it as often. I come back once or twice a year and re-oil it. Also, on my one-handed tools, I don't do this on a full-size axe or a bush axe or anything, but on my one-handed tools, I wax the handle, wax the head, the handle, everything. And it's just personal preference. I think it gives me a better grip on anything that you're supposed to use one, that's mainly used one-handed. This can be used two-handed, but it's mainly a one-handed axe. It turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not as happy with the handle as I was. There's a lot of grain run out. It probably will break, but that's no big deal. I'll replace the handle, or maybe by that time I can afford a good axe. Polish on the head turned out really well. And now, all that's left to do is, like I said, a little more oil, and then I'll let that cure for a couple of days, and then I will wax it. By the end, the head will probably have 4 coats of wax, and the handle probably 3. And it's just something I do. I don't say you should do it. It's just something that's always worked well for me. Now, all that's really left to do is to put an edge on this baby, and we are ready to go. And I will show it to you at that point. Alright, so we're back a few days later, and we have the finished product. Turned out pretty well. Took quite a while to get it sharp. Whoever was on the belt sander the day this one was sharpened really didn't do me any favors. The original sharpening on it was too deep on the top on one side and on the bottom on the other, so it was, as he sanded, he was taking too long on the end of his stroke. Took me forever to get that out, but finally got it nice and sharp. She'll shave now. Got a couple of coats of wax on everything. Rounded out the handle, reshaped it a little bit, ground it and polished it. I think I got a pretty decent axe. The balance on it is incredible. Incredible. So I think it'll probably do me. I've still, of course, got to get a sheath for it, and have a matching set. You might as well say the U.S. Collins, not that old, but pre-Mexico, and then the Mexican Collins, because this is actually a Truper, but Truper is the Mexican company that bought Collins, and now the Truper axe and the Collins axe is exactly the same thing. I realized the other day that when I showed you the paddle talking about my finish, that you couldn't see it. Maybe this will give you a little better view. This is it's made out of, it's got a red oak heart, and it's cherry and maple on the paddles and black walnut on the outside of the handles. Turned out really well balanced, and it's a good paddle. It's got a lot of bite for a Greenland paddle. Not only enjoy using it, but it's better for my shoulders now that I'm an old man with bad shoulders. That helps out a lot. As you can see, the boats I build, probably a little bit of them. Maybe someday I'll do a video talking about them. I hadn't built one in a while. I'm ready to build another one. So, here's my little project axe, my $15 axe, that I think it's gonna work out just fine. I still would rather have a Council Tools, but $15, man. And the steel felt just fine. It felt plenty hard enough. I haven't used it yet, but unless it just won't hold an edge, I can't see there being any problem with this axe. The handle will probably break on me, but it's a Truper handle, which are flat. I'd rather put a link handle on it, which are round. But yeah, I think once I get in a sheath, I'll be very happy with this axe. Hope you liked the video.